Hey, I'm Matthew Arnold.
I'm Zach Sanseviero.
I'm Brandon Smith,
I'm Tom Corbisiero.
I'm Isaiah Jones.
and we're here to talk about the gender disparity in high school sport opportunities.
So, we began to research this topic by focusing on when exactly high school athletics became a larger part of our culture and how this problem with gender disparity arose. What we found was that during the 20th century, the United States focused more on fitness as a whole, and this translated into high school athletics becoming more popular across the nation. But these opportunities in high school sports were primarily being provided to males rather than females. And during the 1971 to 1972 school year, there were roughly 3 million fewer female high school athletics participants than there were males, which you can see here in Figure 2.
However, this all changed in 1972 with the enactment of Title IX. Title IX was a law that was put into place to help provide more gender equity within education, and more specifically sports. With the enactment of Title IX, female participation in sports continued to increase throughout the 20th century and early 21st century. However, there are still leaps and bounds to be made today. As of 2012, schools are providing 1.3 million fewer athletic opportunities for girls as compared to boys. Also, current Title IX coordinators in high school are focusing more on sexual violence and sexual harassment as opposed to gender equity within sports. We believe this is a problem, and we believe that something should be done about it.
So here we have a few examples where you can see gender disparity taking place in high school sports. One being in Richmond, North Carolina, where a women's softball team was denied equal access to the facilities and equipment the men's baseball team was allowed. The men's team had access to fields with proper lighting, while the women's team had to play in unlit fields. The men's team also had more access to radio advertisements than the women's team did. Now, following a Title IX complaint, the district began to equalize the disparities.
Another example we have here is in 2009, a girls' softball team up in Pittsburgh had to travel 5 miles down the road to play their own home softball game. Meanwhile, the boys' team could play their home games at home on their own campus. And they actually had just renovated a new electric scoreboard to be funded by the high school. And this just shows that the high school can fund the boys' baseball team's new electric scoreboard, but they can't field their own softball team at home. That kind of lack of gender equity cannot be tolerated.
Another example where we can see gender disparity in high school sports took place in 2009 when the Florida High School Athletics Association started making cuts to the number of games scheduled for teams statewide. While the women's sports suffered a vast majority of these cuts, football was completely neglected from any of these. And even though a Title IX complaint was filed, individual schools still continue to make cuts to women's sports today.
So what's important about our first 3 bullet points is that they display lack of gender equity in high school sports. And that goes right along with our chart here. And our chart states that while in 2000 to 2010, participation levels had actually increased for both women and men's sports, the disparity has also increased. So in 2000, there was an 11% disparity, and in 2010, it jumped to a 12% disparity. But it's not all bad news, because in our fourth bullet point, it actually shows some progress being made towards gender equity in sports. So in 2010, the National Women's Law Center filed a lawsuit against lack of opportunities for women in Deer Valley School District in Arizona. And because of this, they actually got to field a women's badminton team. And all the schools in the district fielded full teams, and there was no problem there. And this just shows that if you build it, they will come. In other words, just saying that if you give women opportunities in sports, they're going to take it, run with it, and it's going to be a huge success.
So we'd like to continue the trend as seen in our last example, and we'd like to provide some recommendations to further that progress. The Office of Civil Rights should increase its enforcement of Title IX at secondary schools to promote equal opportunity for girls. A policy should be created that requires high schools to equally fund men's and women's non-revenue sports. And lastly, Title IX coordinators should be required to promote gender equity in sports.
Thank you for your time.